Hi everyone, Susie here from Minnesota, and I garden in a zone 4, and it is March 2nd, so I thought I better get going on my winter sowing. This is the first time for winter sowing for me, so it seemed really interesting, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. I'd like to try new things. Again, I am zone 4. Probably should have done this back in February, but it was so cold. I just, honestly, I didn't want to deal with the cold. So I better get going before spring's here, which I can't wait. So what I am using are milk jugs, or I have water jugs too. I use distilled water. I have a fish tank, so I have some of those on hand too. So, and I'm going with the jug. There's other things you can use, but I am huge in recycling, and this is no cost to me now. So it's just, I'm gonna reuse what I can. That's just me. You can do whatever you wanna do, but I prefer to do this. So I'm using plastic jugs here, something to make drainage holes with. This is what I'm using. This was one of my dad's tools. I'm not sure what that is, but it is really nice for poking holes. I'm using a box cutter. That's what I call this. You can use the scissors. I'm finding this is working pretty good so far. I have a little tiny scissors for cutting duct tape, which you're also going to need, along with a Sharpie. Hopefully this does not fade for me being out in the sun. Your seeds that you're going to sow. And then I have a potting mix that I have pre-moistened. I always pre-moisten my potting mixes just because when you go to water, if it's dry, they tend to bubble up and it takes a long time for the water to soak in. So this is just what I do. And I use a potting mix that contains no fertilizer. When I'm starting seeds, I always use something without, I'd prefer not having fertilizer in it. And hopefully, if this works for me, once they get to a certain size, I will be pricking them out and putting them in their own containers just to make sure that I get nice sized plants. Nice and bushy. Like I said, this is new for me. We'll see how this works. So here, I'm doing this. I live in a very wet climate, so I definitely want to have a little more venting. So when I poke the hole, I just go in as far as it will let me. So you can see that size of hole. And then I'm going to also poke some here. March is usually a very snowy month for Minnesota, so I just want to make sure that there is lots of drainage. All right, so that's on the side, and then I'm going to do it on the bottom too. This works really nice. It is going to squish, but that is easily remedied. All right, that seems good. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my box cutter or scissors, and then I'm going to start at the handle of the jug. And there's a smooth spot, and then there's a rough spot. You can, I don't know if you can see that on camera. Like, this is rough, and then this is smooth here. So I'm going to kind of start right here, just below the handle. And just cut around. Try and be as straight as possible, but I've gone a little wonky with some of them. Make sure you don't cut yourself. I tend to get a little nuts. And you don't want to cut all the way through. You just want to go kind of to where the handle is. So you got just a little flip top. At this point, if it was really squished in, this is where you can kind of smooth it out. So now what I'm going to do is I have a paper towel. It's a little damp inside. I'm going to label what I'm sewing here. Just so the Sharpie sticks to that. And I'm just going to abbreviate. So I'm sewing delphinium. So I'm just gonna call it Delph. And then I'm gonna also put it on the outside of my container too. Right, find my cover here. Right, at this point, I'm gonna fill it up with my pre-moistened potting mix. So I think it's giving me about 2 inches from the top here. Just kind of smoothing it down a little bit, packing it not too hard, just to make sure that there's no air bubbles in here. All right, I think that looks pretty good. And then I am sowing Magic Fountain Sky Blue White Bee Delphinium. And the seeds came in this little Ziploc, pretty decent size. It's supposed to be 41 degrees today. That's absolutely beautiful for Minnesota at this time of year. And then they're talking mid to high 50s next week. Hopefully that stays like that. Sometimes that changes, but that is just unbelievable. So I like to space them a good a ways away so they're not clumping together. That way your plants aren't all kind of growing together and getting leggy, hopefully. All right, one more for good measure. I'm going to be doing a lot of delphiniums just because I'm not sure how well they're going to do with this. But the germination on here says that darkness aids in germination, kept at 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's, should have pretty good, hopefully, good luck, fingers crossed. So at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and take some more of my pre-moistened potting mix, cover it. I would say no more than 1/4 of an inch. I'm not too worried about that. I just find seeds just grow. They do what they do. I don't overthink the depth part. All right, so I'm just pressing it down to make sure that there's good contact with the soil and the seed. And then even though my soil is pre-moistened, I'm just gonna go ahead and give it just a little watering here, just to make sure that everything is nice and moist. And these are bottle top waters. You can get them on Amazon. And I just use, again, a bottle that I recycle. I like the slimmer bottles for my hands. And then this is the tricky part. So you're gonna put the lid back on. Got this a little dirty. Grab your duct tape. Sorry if that's a little loud. I'm just gonna do pieces because it's easier to work with. And I have kind of a dull scissors here. So make sure you have a better scissors. And I'm just gonna start on one end and work my way to the other. Oh. Should keep it out of the soil. That's not. and smooth it as you go. All right, just one more little piece. Let me just clean this off. Don't do what I did and put it in the soil. It's probably not the best thing, making it less sticky. I would have liked to have just done one piece, but that way it's a little easier to get off. But it is what it is. All right, and then, yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, we'll see how well that sticks. I'll be checking on it. Make sure that your water jugs or milk jugs are dry on the outside to help make it stick a little bit better. At this point, I'm not going to be putting the cover on. I'm just going to leave the cover off. That way it allows for air to escape, good ventilation, and hopefully these guys decide to grow for me. So then this one is done. I've even tested that you could lift it by the handle, but I would say carry it like that. That way it doesn't completely fall off. Just going to place it over here real quick and I'll do another one. So then in this one, I have a verbena bonariensis, and I'm trying this way because getting these seeds to germinate for me is very tricky. I really struggle with verbena, so maybe this will work out a little bit better. If not, I have lots of seeds. So with this one, darkness also aids in germination. I'm still not sure how I feel about the darkness because I did some pansy seeds and they definitely germinated without, I had like a seed tray on top of it, the black, and it did better when I took the cover off and looks better too. So we'll see. I'm just gonna sprinkle this. These seeds are tiny, but again, if this works, I will be pricking these out. And putting them in their own little pots. Or if they are a decent size and I have a few, I'll probably just take out the whole thing and plant it that way. We'll see. I've already labeled it. I've done my holes, I've cut it, everything. And at this point, I'm just gonna lightly cover it with some of this pre-moistened mix. Good enough. So that's that one. I will do the taping later because that's a bit fiddly. And then I have clematis that I'm doing because I have done 3 sowings of clematis and have not had any luck so far. So maybe this will work out for me. And this is the clematis I'm doing. And then for, oops, that's way too many. So for this one, it says do not cover. Light aids in germination. So stay put. We'll just put that in there. Again, I'm gonna sprinkle these very heavily because I have not had any luck with these germinating. I thought I had luck at the beginning and that proved to be a completely different seed than this. Think happy thoughts. All right, so at this point, because it says do not cover, light aids in germination, the only thing I do with all of my seeds is I do, for the ones that are do not cover or lightly cover, I just use a little vermiculite. And the one nice thing about vermiculite is it holds in the moisture. But just a light covering. And a little goes a long way. I mean, you can get a nice size bag for cheap, and the reason why I use this method is because Select Seeds here, this company where I get the seeds from, they always send a pamphlet, and that's where I learned to do this, is by using vermiculite for that. So, oops, for this one I forgot. I want to pre-moisten it, or not pre-moisten, but moisten a little bit more. I didn't do that. And then this, just be careful when you squirt, because the vermiculite is so fluffy, if you want to say that, light and airy. All right, so that looks good. I'm going to do a little more sowing here of some seeds. I'm doing clematis, verbena, delphinium, erigeron, Jacob's ladder. Yeah, more Jacob's ladder, just because we'll see what happens. I'm a little worried that my plants are going to get a little too big. And then what I'll do is, when I'm done sowing all my seeds, I will show you where I'm going to be putting them. Okay, I'm going to show you where I put my milk jugs for winter sowing. And just thought I'd give you this little view and sound of the dripping snow off my roof. I love it. Melting snow. It is super windy, so sorry about the sound quality. And I just blew out the kennel today. We only had maybe 3 inches of snow. It's just a dusting of snow, but I just want to make sure it got out of here, because it's going to get really mucky here in the next week. So help dry things up a little quicker. Love that snowblower. It's electric, but it has seen 3 winters here. And yeah, that's just some artificial turf. That just helps with my dog's paws when they get muddy. So I'm gonna come through here. Crunching of the snow. So this is where I put them. It's on the east side of the house. Right now I'd say this is probably seeing about 7 hours of sun. And for the start of this, I think that'll be good enough, but I might have to move them someplace sunnier once they get growing pretty good. I would put them on the south side of the house, but it is so windy over there right now, and it's under an overhang, so I don't know how much moisture it would get. So here it's a little more open. The covers are all off for air circulation, plus I'm hoping some moisture can get in here. Again, it's March, so usually we get a lot of snowfall. I might come out and cover them if the nighttime temps dip really low, but honestly, I think I'm just gonna leave them on their own. I'm just gonna keep checking for the moisture. And yeah, I hope I see something in about 2 to 3 weeks, even a month. I would be happy for some germination. Lots of delphinium, the clematis, hopefully 4th time works. Erigeron, the verbena too, we'll see, and some Jacob's ladder. New for me, so can't wait to see how this works out. I will keep you updated on the progress of everything. Just thought I'd show you. I have this bin here because there's a big hole in here. It had cracked in the winter time, and I have stuff in here, so I had to put the bin. There's just so much snow on top that the duct tape wasn't gonna stick. So yeah, gotta love plastic. But oh well, could be worse. But walk back this way with the crunching snow. I could just sit here and listening to the dripping water. Oh, lovely. Can definitely feel spring is on the way. So let me know if you have a winter sowed anything. I'm just sticking with flowers. I'm not doing any vegetables as far as my cold weather crops. Usually I just direct sow them when maybe about 2 to 3 weeks before the last frost date. But so I'm just trying flowers this year and see what happens. But yeah, let me know what you're doing. Your success stories, not so successful, and hopefully enjoy this video, and bye for now.